It is almost 2 o'clock. My cat is sitting there, but I just came back from Home Depot and I had to buy this table because for this next market, the only thing they're supplying me is the space. So, this is my new 6 foot table. I really didn't want to purchase this just this quickly, but I had no choice because I need a table for the market. So, yeah. So this is my messy, messy living room. And it's only because I ordered a lot of stuff and I have no place to put it. But tomorrow is the market. And I'm sorry once again that there's no prep because I really didn't need to prep. I really just made 3 room sprays and 2 reed diffusers. And I did that last night. But, however, I am going to need to prep for the upcoming markets in December. So I'm taking this tomorrow, and I'm also taking my chair that's in the corner over there. And then I'm taking my wagon that is covered with stuff. This is laundry that I have to put away. And then, of course, my tent is right here. And if you see right up in here, I have my duffel bag. Excuse my devil dogs, but I have my duffel bag and my 2 totes that I just packed earlier. Now I have my sandbags there because tomorrow it's supposed to be windy again. And this time I'm prepared. I have my sandbags and then I have my new chalk sign that's right here and my displays that I decided to put in another bag. So that is everything that I'm taking. And then if you come with me this way, I also have these new weights right here. So I have these weights that I'm also taking with me. And hopefully, if it's windy tomorrow, then I could just use those. And if not, then I'll have the sandbags to help. I don't want it to be like last time. But that is everything that I'm doing today. I think I'm just going to take a little break because I'm really not feeling that great. So for the rest of the day, I'm just going to take a break. And I got to get up early tomorrow because I got to be there at 8 and the event starts at 9. And they just sent the email out, which I don't understand why they wait until the day before, but they just sent the email out that tells us where we're going to be and what we need, all the instructions and everything. So that is pretty much it. I will deal with this probably on Sunday, or my sister will deal with it. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I got everything all packed and ready to go for tomorrow. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So, this is not my usual opening, but I am here at the Fort Greene Park Artisan Bazaar Market. I am all set up and it has already started. It is cold. It is really, really cold. This time I do have my coat and my hoodie. I have my gloves as well. I just don't have my scarf with me. But the market has already started and I am pretty much set up. Um, yeah, I'm pretty much set up and we'll see what happens. Now, it wasn't a good start to this market. I had to be here at 8 a.m. and I was pretty much here before then and I had to set up. But there is, of course, always a story when it comes to me doing these markets, and I think today has to be a big one. But I will tell all of that in the recap. I am going to try my best to get some footage of the market today. I'm not sure if I will, but I'll see if I can just walk down and give you guys a glance of what is here. I am in Brooklyn and it is on the street, so yeah. I have my water. I have tea today for the coldness to try and warm me up. And I have my snacks. And now it's just a wait and see game to see what happens next. Hopefully, I make some sales today. But if not, it's always a learning experience. And yes, I am close to the sidewalk. I'm actually on the sidewalk. And it is a lot of people walking back and forth. But I will try my best, like always, to get you guys the footage so that you can see what this market looks like in New York. But this is a market that's here every Saturday from 9 to 4, and then I think there's an additional market as well, all in the same vicinity. So I am cold. I am going to bundle up. I'm going to put my gloves on. I forgot my hat today and my scarf, but I'm going to put my gloves on and we are going to get the day started. And hopefully, it's not as windy as that other market. Not sure if you all can hear me because the mic is kind of close, but let me show you a view of the setup. So, this is the setup for today's market. I have finally all my candles out because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of this set of candles here so that I can redo them and I think get rid of one of them, unfortunately. But it is my normal setup. It is my normal setup. I have my wax melts over here with the candles, the diffusers here, a little sign that says room sprays and diffuser refills are there. And then I have my wax melts over here. And these are limited editions for today and the rest of the year until I get rid of them. $6 to $12. But that is the setup. And I'm here by myself. And as you can see, the market stretches all the way down from one end to this end down here. So, and this is my space here. Oh, and then I have the tote bags hanging up here on the side of the tent. So that is the setup. Hi, how are you today? Good, good. So if you're up to it, feel free to smell anything you like. I have candles on each side, reed diffusers on this side, and room sprays to try out up here. She's like, not bad. Oh. Oh. Well, that's a good way to test to make sure. You want the cherry blossom? Sure. I hope you guys can hear me. It's a little bit dark under here because the sun went down, but it is 2 hours into the market, I believe. I think it's after 11:30, and I am just checking in. It's going slow, but that's okay. It is a little cold. I did buy this from one of the vendors over here. She's two doors down. It's a nice little crocheted earmuff warmer for me. So, well, ear warmer for me because I forgot my hat. I don't know if I said that before, but I forgot my hat. I don't know if it was put in my other coat, but it's usually in this coat that I'm wearing here. But just checking in, I made 3 sales today, so that's not bad. And we have, I think, about 2 or 3 hours left of the market. I'm just tired and cold, but I am enjoying my time out here. And I will check in with you guys a little later, probably. Okay, so I guess I'll just lean in to the sun because it's kind of dark in the shade. But it is almost 2 o'clock. We have 2 hours to go. It's kind of slow today. Not many sales going on. Not many much of anything going on. But yeah, I've just been trying to sit here and keep myself occupied and entertain as much as I can. It is windy, not windy as it was before, but it definitely is windy. So I did make an additional, I think, 1 or 2 sales. I can't really remember. Definitely one more sale, but it's going pretty slow today. And yeah, I'll either check in again closer to the end or I'll just wrap it up here. And yeah, a little disappointed, and it's mostly because of the weather, but you can't win them all. So I will definitely check in with you guys later on if possible. everyone. So this market I did back in November. I'm so sorry for the delay on the recaps for these videos. Stuff started to come and I wasn't able to record the recap at that time, which is why I'm recording it now. So I'm going to try my best to remember everything that happened. I do have my notes here, and I also have my notes on the computer of what I remember. But this was my last outdoor market. This was the Brooklyn pop-up Fort Greene Artisan Market. That's a mouthful. And it happened the week before Thanksgiving, I believe. It happened the 23rd. So it, like I said, it was my last outdoor market of the year. And for this market, they didn't really supply you with much of anything. They just supplied you the space. So that meant I had to bring my tent, I had to bring my fold up chair out there, and I also had to get a table. Now, I didn't want to buy a table this soon into my small business being going because it is my first year and I did not expect to buy a table. I pretty much figured every market in the city, which they do, supplies you with a table. But I went to Home Depot the week before and I ended up buying a 6 foot table, and I had to bring it to the market, of course, with me. So this was the earliest I had to be at a market all year. The market times was from 9 to 4, so I had to be there at least by 8 in order to set up my space. So I ended up getting there probably about 15 minutes before 8 p.m., which was good. It wasn't that far from me. It was about a 35-minute ride away by cab, so it wasn't that far from me, and it was also a cheap ride, so that was good. But I ended up getting there about 15 minutes beforehand, and when I got there, there was no coordinator there just yet because I was early. But there were a few vendors starting to set up, and some were arriving as I arrived. So I ended up asking one of the vendors after packing up my wagon with all my stuff. I took my heavy duty wagon with me and I packed up all my stuff in the wagon. I asked the vendor that was there setting up, like, where do we go to figure out our spots? And basically, there's like a little tape on the cobblestone wall that has a number and it tells you where to set up. So I wasn't that far, thank goodness. I wasn't that far from my spot. So once I found my spot, I of course wanted to set up. I had a whole hour to set up, and the first thing I wanted to do, of course, was put my tent up. But when I went to go step on the area where we set up at, now the way the market is situated is it's outside of the park and it lines the park. All the vendors line the park, and then there's a few that's on the sidewalk across from some of the vendors. And the way the sidewalk is set up is it's cobblestone and then a little curb piece and then the actual sidewalk. So where the cobblestone is where we, the vendors, set up at. And I put my tent on the cobblestone, getting ready to open it up. And I had one side open. And then once I started to pop the top up, I noticed that I slipped on some of the stones. So, of course, because I figured it rained the night before, that those stones would be a little slippery. Well, no, that wasn't what I stepped on. So I slid a little more again, and then finally I got off the stone and I picked up my foot and I realized that I stepped in dog poo. I guess you could say poo here. So I stepped in that, and when I looked back to where my space was, there was a couple of areas that had that on it. So I'm like, oh, great. And by then, the coordinator has showed up because it was now a couple of minutes after 8 o'clock. The coordinator showed up and I flagged her down and I ended up telling her that, hey, there's, what do I do? Because I don't have anything to clean it up. And she at first was like, well, know what to do. But then she said, wait, I'm going to get some doggy bags. I'm going to clean up what I can. And that's the best I can do. And I'm like, that's perfectly fine. I figured I can like throw some of the fallen leaves onto it and just not step in that area. So the good thing about that park is it had a doggy bag dispenser. She got some of the doggy bags from there and she ended up cleaning it up. There still was remnants of it there, so she took some of the wet leaves. Again, not with her hands, okay, not with her bare hands. She used the bags and she used the wet leaves to clean up as best she could. So I ended up dealing with that right off the bat as soon as I started, as soon as I got there. But once that was cleared up, I set up my tent, set up my table, put my products out, and I had probably about 20 minutes to spare before the market started. Now, there was a vendor next to me, and she had a 4-foot table, and I found it weird that she was like, there was a space in between us and she wasn't like directly next to me. But it ended up being that she was doing a shared space with a gentleman that wasn't there yet. So he ended up coming a little bit closer to the time the market was supposed to start. And he bought the tent and everything for them to share. Now, the only problem with that was his table didn't fit with her table. So I think he had a 6-foot table, or it could have been a little longer. And they were just trying to figure out where to put him at. At first, they were going to put him in another space because somebody didn't show up. But then he wanted to stay there because at that time, when they suggested it, he had already started putting his products on the table and he was pretty much set up for the most part. And the way he had set it up was the table was long ways into the tent. So people would have to actually come in around in between our tents and see his stuff. So I had space in my area. I asked him if he wanted to use some of my space. That way we could turn his table to face the crowd. And he was okay with that. I ended up helping him turn his table around and it worked out really good for him. So that was a plus for that morning because it was looking bad with that whole situation that occurred at setup. So once everything was set up, it was time to wait for the people to come and stop by and purchase items. Now, it was definitely a cold day from what I remember, and it was windy that day. And I remember I did not prepare myself the way I should have for that day. Now, the coat, I did take a coat that day with me and I had my hoodie on up under. And normally in that coat, I have my hat and my gloves already there for days where I could just pick up my coat and go and I'm already prepared. And I ended up realizing that my hat was actually in my heavier coat from last year when I was wearing it. So I never transferred my hat over, which is probably why I'm making a new hat for myself. But and then that way that one could be in this coat and my old hat could be in my other coat. So I was unprepared that day and I didn't have a hat. And usually when I don't have a hat in the cold weather, my head ends up hurting really bad. So I was starting to feel, after probably about an hour and a half, I was starting to feel my head start to hurt a little bit. But it was cold, it was windy, and it wasn't as windy as that other market that I did, but it was windy enough. And I'm kind of glad it was because I had also purchased new weights for my tent. It's the ones, the disc ones off of Amazon, and that was my first day trying them out. And I also had my sandbags with me still. So I bought all the weights that day just in case. I wanted to be prepared in case it did happen to be like that other market that I did. But it wasn't that bad, and the weights did well, and the tent stood up very well. And I actually ended up sharing one or two of my sandbags with my neighbor next to me because she didn't have any. She had different weights, but it was still like lifting her tent up. So I ended up bringing those, and I'm glad I did. They work well, so now I can bring them with any other market that has to deal with windy weather moving forward. So as far as the market goes, the market was kind of slow. not kind of slow, it was definitely slow. It was slow the entire day. I didn't get my first two sales until 10 o'clock, which was an hour after the market started. Now, the way the market is situated is it does have a food market that is there every weekend. So the food market is there every weekend, and then it has the Brooklyn pop up market on its side. Well, the Fort Greene market on its side there. So they partner together, and people that stop there, they often come and they stop at the market here. And after speaking to a couple of the vendors that have done this market multiple times before, they said, yeah, it's a very slow day. They didn't understand why, because usually that crowd from the food market comes around the corner and they do a lot of shopping there at the artisan market. So it was slow. I spent a lot of the time just walking around, sitting down. I did get a couple of sales there. I did speak to a couple of people there, but for the most part, people were just looking and walking, looking and walking. And it wasn't just me, it was other vendors around me, it was vendors down the way. So it was definitely a slow market for the day. So in the middle of the market, I ended up taking a bathroom break. That's how slow it was. And I ended up exploring the park a little more, which was it was a nice park. I've never been to that park before, and it's mainly because I don't really travel into Brooklyn. All my life living here, I've barely gone into Brooklyn for anything. So I find myself now that I'm living here traveling there more often because they do have a lot of good things that go on. But I ended up going to the bathroom, and on my way back, I figured I would just go ahead and film the market because I was going to be there by myself that day. I ended up taking a little detour and filming the market. Now, the coordinator, she was there manning my booth, and I kind of felt bad, but not really because I really wanted to see what the market was about. I've heard people talk about the food market, and they have a lot of food there, just a whole variety of stuff there, and it's all done on the street. And these are local businesses and small businesses that come to the market every weekend and do this for the neighborhood. So I walked and I started recording some of it. Along the way, I ended up talking to a couple of the vendors in the artisan market, and I ended up taking down some people's Instagram and things like that. So yeah, that was pretty much kind of the highlight for me of the market. I know I do the highlights at the end, but that was pretty much the highlight of the market for me, was just interacting with people. So towards the end of the market, I think I got one sale within the last hour. So it really wasn't much going on. Like I said, it was just me and other vendors just walking around and interacting with each other. But at the end of the market, my head was already hurting. And then that last hour, my back ended up hurting. And I had my back brace on me. But sometimes when I'm doing too much, it hurts even with the back brace on. I thought I was going to break my wagon on the cobblestone because the wheel was a little wobbly. And I'm like, oh, great, this is a new tent. Please don't break a new wagon. Please don't break my new wagon. So that happened. And then I ended up not even thinking about it, closing up all my stuff up under my tent instead of pulling my tent out or pulling the stuff out and closing up the tent. So there was that. And then once I got the tent down, I was putting it back in its case. One of the buckles to the strap that closes it and holds it together ended up breaking. Thank God I contacted the company and they're sending me a brand new case. So I'm happy for that, and I'm just waiting for that to come. And then on top of that, when I called my Uber, it was a van. They showed up and he couldn't help me load up my stuff into his van because he said he had a back surgery. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just call another Uber to help me because my back is now hurting and I can't lift all this stuff into the van. So I don't know how I got into an argument with him, but he ended up constantly telling me that his back was hurting and that not his back was hurting, that he had surgery, back surgery, and he can't help me put this stuff in. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't need you to help me put this stuff in. I'm telling you, I'm going to call another Uber, cancel this one. Oh, I can't cancel it. I'm not allowed to cancel it. So I ended up paying the cancellation fee for that, even though I've had numerous Uber drivers cancel and that fee doesn't get charged to me. But for some reason, he couldn't. And he just kept arguing with me about not being able to help me get the stuff in there. And I'm standing there like, I just want to go home. It's cold. My head hurts. I need help putting this stuff in an Uber. I'm not going to argue with you. I even told him, I'm not arguing with you. I just want to call another Uber so that I can have someone that can help me put the stuff in there and I could go home. That was it. I don't know why people insist on wanting to argue every little thing when you can just have a discussion, quick discussion. It should have been the end of the story. He should have got back in his car. He should have been on his way. He should have canceled it. I should have just called. That's it. But it turned into a whole 10 minutes of us going back and forth. Well, I don't want to say 10, but like 5 minutes of us just going back and forth on something that in my mind I thought was perfectly clear when I said, okay, well, I'll just call another Uber and have someone else help me put all this stuff in there because it was a lot of heavy stuff. And on top of that, I wanted to go to my storage unit and drop off the table and the tent because I didn't need it anymore for the rest of the year. So he's just eating up my time. But that was the end of the market. It was just, I don't know, it was an experience, and I think I got soured on the whole day when the whole situation at the beginning happened. So for the day, I ended up getting 5 sales and my gross profit was $112. As far as the top seller for the day, I didn't have any. It was pretty much all over the place, but I did sell a couple of my 8-ounce relaxing short sides because I am revamping them and they're going to be a different design. So right now they are discounted until I run out of supplies of it. But I'm sorry, until I run out of inventory of it. But I didn't have any top sellers for the day. And no, I did not make my vendor's fee or my transportation back. It was a slow day, as you saw and heard, and it was only 5 sales. So I really didn't make my feedback at all. So that was it for this recap. I'm sorry it wasn't exciting. It was actually one of the bad ones this year. And it all started with that. Well, I'm not going to say it, but it all started with that one moment. The market was okay. There was definitely a good amount of people walking back and forth, but a good amount of people walking back and forth doesn't always equate to people coming to shop. And that definitely was the case that day. Even the other vendors said that, it was a little off that day because usually they make a good amount of sales at that market. So some of the positives from the market was really just meeting the coordinator and some of the vendors, being able to talk to them and walk around and experience the market for myself, and just connecting with some people, some new people rather, on Instagram and following them. But that was pretty much the only positive for the day. As far as the negatives go, it's just everything. It was from the start of the market with the whole situation, the cold weather, the lack of sales, the lack of interest from the people walking back and forth, the whole Uber incident, me breaking my tent bag, and yeah, it was just a whole lot of mess going on that day. It definitely wasn't a vibe for me, and I was in a negative space from that first incident in the beginning. So the big question is, will I do this market again? And honestly, I'm going to say, I don't know. Maybe. For now, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. But you know, every market has a different outcome each time you do it. So maybe the next time I do it, maybe it would be a success. I don't know. But I'm definitely not going to completely say no. Maybe I'll try it one more time and see, and then I can decide from there. I can definitely say it was an experience, to say the least. I think what I'm going to do moving forward is go into these markets with an open mind, because you never know which market is going to be a hit or miss. And even if you do that same market over and over again, it could have different outcomes every single time. By doing these markets, it prepares me for what to expect and what not to expect. But with this one, I really, really wanted to just pack up and go at the beginning, but I'm glad I stuck it out to see and experience what it's like. So it prepares me for what to expect maybe come the next time I do it, if I do it again. But yeah, that was the end of today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed the market video here. I have 2 more after this that I will be putting out, and those markets were maybe a up and down, I don't know, but you'll see in the next couple of videos. But that was it for this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If so, then hit that like button, interact with the video, comment, share, and also subscribe to the channel. I am getting close to 500 subscribers. So if you haven't already and you like what you saw today or in one of my previous videos, then hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when the next new video comes out. Well, that was it for this one. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and don't forget to show yourself a little more appreciation. So until next time, this is Tammy saying, take care, everyone.